Hey you guys, it's Brit. Tonight we're here to discuss the case that is currently unfolding in the state of Illinois regarding Sonya Massey. I have some things to say about this situation and hoping to have a conversation. So if you're interested in learning about Sonya and her very tragic passing, then please keep watching. Alright you guys, so I have a little bit of trouble with this because I feel like it's really hard to even fathom that this happened. This should have never happened. Sonya called local law enforcement to help her and it ended up turning deadly and she lost her life all within just a few seconds. I'm going to read a little bit about the case. I'm sure if you're clicking on this video, you might have heard about it, but I want to give a brief summary. And then I specifically would like to talk about the officer that is now being charged with her unaliving, because his background and him as a person, it's a whole problem. And yeah, so that's the way that this video is going to go. First, let's talk about Sonya. Sonya was a 36-year-old who lived in Illinois. She was a mom and she was an overall amazing person. I've listened to her father speak about her. I've listened to her son and her mom give an interview. And to hear that somebody was such a great person, but going through some mental health struggles, and then to hear about the way all of this unfolded, just really, it does something to you. And watching the video is a whole different situation. I will not be including the video in my video, but I will link it down below. Massive trigger warning if you do decide to watch that. It is very graphic. It is very upsetting and tragic. So if you do choose to click on it, if you haven't seen it, be warned, it is shocking. Now this event happened on July 6th and she called local law enforcement because she thought that there was a prowler or an intruder in or around her home. The law enforcement officers arrive and the first thing that really took the breath out of me was when she opened the door, she said, "Please don't hurt me." So she already knew that it was a risk to have to call law enforcement officials into her home to hopefully help her with something that she thought might have been going on. She opened the door and automatically asked to not be injured by police officers that she should have been able to trust fully were there to do their job and do it well and keep her safe and then exit the premises with no issues. So all of this, like I said, happened July 6th. It says, a woman in Illinois was fatally shot by law enforcement last week after she called authorities because she was scared an intruder was in her home. Sonya Massey, 36, died after an encounter with deputies from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office in Springfield early on July 6th, according to a news release from Illinois State Police, which is investigating at the request of the Sheriff's Office. State Police said the body camera video and other information tied to the case is not immediately being released to protect the integrity of the legal process. As a side note, that footage has now been released and it is all over social media. Like I said, if you want to watch it and you're in the headspace where you would like to consume that content, despite it being very unsettling, it will be in my description box. It continues and says, in separate news releases, State Police and the Sheriff's Office said deputies arrived at a home on the 2800 block of Hoover Avenue shortly before 1 a.m. following the 911 call. The Sheriff's Office said it was called over a report of a prowler. Massey was shot during the incident and declared dead at an area hospital, State Police said Wednesday. Here's a photo of her mother just I can't imagine the pain that her family is going through. You know, like I said, she was a mom, and both of her parents and all of her other friends and family. She left behind so many people that cared about her. It continued and said in its statement, the day of the shooting, the sheriff's office said 2 deputies searched the area, and at about 1:21 a.m. the deputies reported that shots had been fired, resulting in a female being struck by gunfire. No deputies were injured, the sheriff's office said. Ben Crump, who is the attorney for the Massey family, said in a statement that the shooting occurred after Massey called law enforcement because she thought there was an intruder in her home. It is extremely hard to imagine how a woman who calls the police out of fear of an intruder ends up being shot in the head by police at her own home, Crump said in his statement. We demand that all body camera footage from this incident be released immediately so that Sonya's family and the public can see what happened in those 30 deadly minutes. No family should have to endure the pain and suffering that Sonya's loved ones are experiencing right now. So the exchange between the officer and Sonya, I feel like I do need to summarize that, even though I'm not reacting to the video. She was sitting on the couch looking for her ID. The 2 officers, one of which is Sean Grayson, who is now in jail because he is the one who fired his weapon. They're standing in the living room. She is sitting on the couch in the living room, and she had a pot of boiling water on the stove, and they asked her to take the boiling water off the stove because they didn't want to have a fire, so on and so forth. She enters the kitchen to follow their directions, take the boiling water off the stove. She then asked the deputies what they were doing, and Grayson responded, "Getting away from your hot steaming water." Massey responds, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." She said that twice. Sean Grayson responded to her saying that, saying, "I swear to God, I will shoot you right in your effing face." Then drew his weapon, instructed her to drop the pot. She crouched down below the cabinets. She then put her hands in the air. She apologized before she ducked. Sean Grayson approached Massey with his gun still drawn. She quickly stood up and grabbed the pot. Grayson continued to tell her to drop the pot as he approached. This exchange happens in just a few seconds. It all moves very quickly. I don't care what kind of picture somebody wants to paint. What happened to her was unjust. There was no reason for deadly force in this situation. There was absolutely no reason why this Sean Grayson officer should have been even in a position where he was thinking that he might be using deadly force. Grayson's partner, after this happens and Sonya is on her kitchen floor, he wants to go get his med pack. And Sean Grayson says, no, that's a headshot. He discouraged his partner from administering medical aid to somebody who was literally just shot in the face. He discouraged that. And even though Sean Grayson discouraged his partner from rendering medical aid to Sonya, he still rendered aid and stayed with Massey until medical help arrived. There's also the partner's body cam footage from when he exits the house and is at his police cruiser. And to hear how upset he was of all of this unfolding, there's a lot of profanities, and I cannot imagine being in that situation and watching all of this happen and then being told, oh no, don't worry about her. She's on the kitchen floor. Don't worry about it. When as a police officer, you are there to protect citizens. You are there to render aid to civilians. You are there to be a lifesaver at times. I want to talk more about Sean Grayson. This is obviously only the beginning of all of this. Sean Grayson is fired. He's in custody. He is going to go through the judicial process for all of this. But his life in between 2020 and July of this year is very interesting. It says the former sheriff's deputy who fatally shot Sonya Massey in her Illinois home while responding to her call for help has held 6 different police jobs since 2020. The Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board confirmed this to ABC News. Body camera footage released Monday shows former Deputy Sean Grayson yelling at Massey, an unarmed 36-year-old black woman and mother of 2, to put down a pot of boiling water. The footage, which has been reviewed by ABC News, shows that Massey told the deputy, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," and then she apologized after the officer threatened to shoot her. She poured the water into the sink and ducked down behind a counter, covering her face with what appears to be a red oven mitt. She briefly rose and Grayson shot her 3 times in the face. A review by Illinois State Police found Grayson was not justified in his use of deadly force. Grayson, who is white, has pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct in Massey's death. The Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board records show that Grayson, 30, worked 3 full-time and 3 part-time jobs in 4 different police departments and 2 sheriff's offices over the last 4 years, all within the state of Illinois. He was employed at 3 different police departments in 2021 alone. His records show his shortest term of employment was with the Kincaid Police Department, where he was employed for just over 3 months. Records list his reason for leaving as other. I want to know what other means. What does other, like, that could be anything. What was he doing to be fired and it be categorized as other? His longest term of employment was with the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, where he worked for 1 year and 2 months. Grayson was fired last week following Massey's death. Grayson worked part-time in the Pawnee Police Department from August 2020 to July 2021. His reason for leaving is listed as other. He also worked part-time at the Kincaid Police Department from February to May of 2021. The Kincaid Police Department has told ABC News he was let go by the Village of Kincaid board when he refused to live within the 10-mile radius of the village. They also said they have no complaints against Grayson and no disciplinary actions were taken against him while he worked for the Kincaid Police. The Verdon Police Department hired him part-time from May to December 2021, and he also worked full-time at the Auburn Police Department from July 2021 to May of 22. Both departments list his reason for leaving as resigned. There's a lot of blasé, cookie-cutter reasons for him swapping through all of these police departments. There is no reason why somebody, especially in that position, should be jumping from one to the other to the other. That is a huge red flag to me. He also worked at the Logan County Sheriff's Office from May of 22 to April of 23. He was then hired at the Sangamon Sheriff's Office in May 2023, where he remained until he was fired last week. It is clear that the deputy did not act as trained or in accordance with our standards. Therefore, Sean Grayson's employment with the Sheriff's Office has been terminated. And that comes from the Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell. He wrote that in a statement last week. He also had 2 DUIs. So, this guy, I just have a lot of questions as to why he was even allowed to be in a sheriff's office or police officer uniform. Do they just hire people and not care about the backgrounds? Becca Day actually did a video talking about how he kind of weaseled his way into this position. I'll drop that right here.
May 1st, 2023, the day that Officer Sean Grayson was sworn into the Sangamon Police Department, which would be the catalyst, the beginning of a series of events that would ultimately lead to Sonya Massey no longer being alive. Sean Grayson's application to Springfield PD was passed over because he does not have the best history. He has worked at 6 different police departments since 2020. How did Sean Grayson even get this job at this department since he had such a terrible track record? To begin with, 2 DUIs and obviously issues at multiple different departments. Familial corruption within the police department, of course. In this picture right here, you can see Deputy Scott Butterfield and his 2 daughters. One of his daughters is engaged to former officer Sean Grayson, and they were set to be married in October of this year, in just a couple of months. I am so tired of this purposeful negligence that is causing people to lose their lives, Black people, people of color to lose their lives. It appears that Sean Grayson has deleted or privated his social medias, and his fiance has attempted to as well, but she does still have a Twitter up. I don't know if anyone has found it, so I won't be the one to expose what her username is, but I will just say you might want to go back and archive that account, because saying the N-word as someone who's not a person of color in any context, and then your fiance a few years later unalives a woman of color, it's not a good look.
Lots of allegations of corruption and just people being buddy-buddy and allowing people like Sean Grayson to be hired as a sheriff. The situation with Sonya is pretty simple to understand what happened here. I hope that Sean Grayson is held to the highest punishment that is allowed in the state of Illinois. And I hope that he thinks about her every day for the rest of his life. There is absolutely no reason why a Black woman should not be able to feel safe to call for a possible intruder without having to worry when she opens the door, she might be hurt, she might be killed, she might be lied on, taken advantage of. And that goes for anyone, but obviously we're here talking about Sonya. This is a pattern, and it's, unfortunately, I feel bad to say this, but this is not the last time that it's going to happen. I feel bad saying that, but unfortunately, if you look at the pattern, it's just, it's already happened. Like, 1 is too many times. There is no reason why you should not be able to call police officers to your house to help you, and you have to be afraid that you're not going to walk out of your house alive again. I know that Sonya's mental health is a big part of this conversation, but obviously I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist or psychologist or any of the above, so I don't really feel comfortable giving commentary on that in this video. And I also don't think that that has anything to do with anything. If she had mental health issues, she should have been able to call the police officers to her house and felt safe. If she didn't have mental health issues or problems, then she should have been able to have police in her home and know that she would walk out safe. Like, it really doesn't matter what side it falls on. But Sean Grayson, I hope that you get the karma that is coming to you. I hope that the justice system really does its job, which unfortunately is rare, especially in situations like this. And I hope that he has the day that he deserves. That's what's going on with Sonya. So unfortunate. I don't even, I would like to say I hope that she's resting in peace, but there's nothing peaceful about any of this. It's all just tragic and adding another notch to these patterns of behavior that we've seen. So I send all the light and positivity to her family, and I hope that people continue to talk about her so that everybody knows who Sonya was. And yeah, I just send every positive piece of energy that I have to her family. So Either way, I think that's enough for today. If you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.